Welcome to Cardboard Content, where we aim to develop our skills and grow the competitive Commander community. Hey guys, it's me, Benedict. It's nice to be back home. Had a few adventures on my vacation looking for a particular card. Check out my other socials or the shorts here on YouTube to see all the gambas I did and see if I got the card I was looking for. Without further ado, we have 2 games for our Darkside Derby coming up right now. Starting in the lower right hand corner, we have Tyler K playing Varolz. Then to his left, we have James on Malcolm Vial-Smasher, Andrew playing Kinnan, and Sebastian back with Inalla. Tyler starts with a Bayou into an Elves of Deep Shadow, then passes turn to James. James starts us off with a Misty Rainforest, cracks it. James plays Underground Sea into a Mana Vault into a Mox Amber, and then passes turn to Andrew. Andrew plays Tropical Island, plays Mox Diamond, pitching a Verdant into a turn 1 Kinnan, then casts Mox Amber. Sebastian plays Underground Sea into a Soul Ring into a Talisman of Dominance. Tyler moves on to his second turn, plays Windswept Heath, cracks for Overgrown Tomb, and then casts Dark Confidant, then passes turn to James. James plays an Ancient Tomb, then casts Commander Malcolm, then casts Mystic Remora. Sebastian responds with a Mental Misstep, then passes turn to Andrew. Andrew plays Wooded Foothills, cracks his Wooded Foothills and puts a Breeding Pool into play tap, then passes turns to Sebastian. Sebastian plays Talisman of Indulgence, then Badlands, and passes turn to Tyler. Tyler triggers his Dark Confidant, gets Finhorn Elves, takes 1 damage, then plays a Forest into a Finhorn Elves, then casts his Commander Varolz. We move on to James's turn. He casts Lively Dirge. Using both the Spree abilities, Andrew responds with a Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer resolves, then Lively Dirge resolves. James puts a Glinthorn Buccaneer into the graveyard and then puts it into play. In combat, before attackers, Sebastian snaps Glinthorn Buccaneer. James responds back with a Fierce Guardianship. Moving into combat, James attacks Malcolm to Andrew and Glinthorn Buccaneer to Sebastian. With this combo established, James activates Glinthorn, discarding a card, which triggers Glinthorn to deal 1 damage to each of his opponents. He nets 3 treasures thanks to Malcolm's ability. He continues this loop, netting 1 more mana and pinging each opponent down 1 life. Good job, James. Kudos to you again, James. No one really saw it coming there till the end. Probably one of my favorite Grixis decks, Grixis Pirates. You played it beautifully. There was no real end game summation for me to set you up. So let's get on to the next game. Starting in the lower right hand corner, we have Daxon on Glarb, starting hand of 6. Next is me, starting hand of 7, playing Hashaton. Then we have Brad on Reyhan-Dargo, starting hand of 7. Then we have Logan, Master of Keys, starting hand of 7. Daxon starts off with a Mox Diamond, pitching a Scalding Tarn, exiling Elvish Spirit Guide, playing Talisman of Dominance into a Sensei's Divining Top. Pass turn to me. I play Command Tower, cast Esper Sentinel, and then pass turn to Brad. Brad plays Luxury Suite into his own Mox Diamond, triggering my Esper Sentinel. He pitches Misty Rainforest, then plays a Ragavan, then casts Imperial Seal. Logan's up next. He plays Underground Sea into a Mystic Remora, triggers my Esper Sentinel, and I draw. He plays Mox Opal, then Mox Amber, back to Daxon. He plays City of Traders into a Fellwar Stone, triggers my Esper Sentinel and Mystic Remora. Then Daxon casts his Commander Glarb, passes turn to me. I play Marsh Flats, crack to find the Underground Sea, cast Arcane Signet, trigger Mystic Remora, and then discard to maximum hand size copy artifact. On Brad's turn, he plays Wooded Foothills, cracks for a Forest, attacks Logan with Ragavan, and gets a Grand Abolisher exiled for him to cast. He casts the Grand Abolisher, then casts Fellwar Stone, triggers Mystic Remora, then passes turn to Logan. Logan lets his Mystic Remora go, then plays Polluted Delta, cracks for a Tundra, then plays Talisman of Dominance, triggers my Esper Sentinel, then casts Kitsa and passes turn to Dax. Daxon starts off with a Mystic Remora, triggers my Esper Sentinel, then casts a Mockingbird off the top of his deck with Glarb. Chooses my Esper Sentinel. I respond by casting Enlightened Tutor, triggering his Mystic Remora. He draws, and I tutor up a Rhystic Study. Then he passes turn to me. I play Tundra, then cast my commander Hashaton. Cast Deadly Rollick, targeting Grand Abolisher, trigger Esper Sentinel and Mystic Remora. Then pass to Brad's turn. Brad floats a black mana, then a green mana, sacrifices Ragavan, Mox Diamond, and his Felwar Stone to assist to pay for Dargo. Then he uses his 2 floating mana to cast Life's Legacy, sacrificing Dargo, triggering Espers and Mystic Remora. We all draw. Then Brad plays Bloodstained Mire, fetches for a Badlands, casts Lotus Petal, triggers Mystic Remora, then casts Burgi. He casts Noxus Revival, targeting Life's Legacy, triggering Burgi and Mystic Remora. Then Brad passes turn to Logan. Logan activates Kitsa, draws, and then discards a Necromancy. Then he casts his commander, Master of Keys, mills a Marsh Flats, and a Meticulous Archive. Then recasts from his graveyard Mystic Remora, triggers both Esper Sentinels and Mystic Remora. We each draw 1. Daxon responds to his second draw with Glarb's Surveil ability, and he bins one of them, which is Emergence Zone, and he draws the next card. We move on to Dax's 4th turn. He pays for Mystic Remora, shocks in Watery Grave, then casts Dark Ritual, triggers Esper Sentinel and Mystic Remora. Daxton casts Necropotence, triggers Mystic Remora. Daxton proceeds to use Necropotence, looking at the top of each card prior to exiling them thanks to Glarb's ability. Daxton pays a total of 30 life. Before moving into end step, he casts Born Upon a Wind, which triggers Mystic Remora. Then I respond with Silence, triggering both Mystics. They both draw. Daxon responds back with a Force of Will, pitching Kitsa, triggering Logan's Mystic Remora. Logan draws again, and Born Upon a Wind resolves. Daxon casts Soul Ring, triggers Mystic, then casts Mana Vault, triggering Mystic again, then Talisman of Resilience, triggering Mystic again. Then Dax casts Calling of the Weak, targeting his Mocking Sentinel, which triggers Mystic again. He makes 4 mana, activates Glarb, surveils a Flooded Strand and a Deathrite Shaman into his graveyard, then casts Wishclaw Talisman, triggers Mystic again, then casts Lotus Petal, triggering Mystic again, then casts Vampiric Tutor, triggering Mystic again, then activates Sensei's Divining Top to draw a tutored card, and then he casts Chromox, triggers Mystic again, imprinting Molt Tender. Then Daxton casts a Culling Ritual, destroying 17 permanents, triggers Mystic Remora one more time, and Culling Ritual resolves. Then he casts Entomb, binning a 6, and then casts No One Left Behind, returning 6 to the battlefield. Then Daxton casts Mox Diamond, pitching Shifting Woodland and Gemstone Cavern into exile, 1 for 6 and 1 for Mox Diamond itself. Then he casts Chromox again, imprinting Cyclonic Rift, then casting Thassa's Oracle. With the ETB on the stack, he casts Tainted Pact. Good job, Daxton. Way to go, Dax. Who would have thought drawing 30 cards would win you the game? Endgame summation. After the game, Brad pointed out he could have saved the last treasure there if he didn't use it to cast the Grand Abolisher. He could have used the Felwar Stone and his mana to cast it and save that treasure, which he would have had for the following turn, and he could have won a turn sooner. Logan, I can't give you any tips there, unfortunately. I don't know how many cards you drew off of Dax's win attempt, but it seemed like the bad draws were just on your side. I personally need more reps with the deck and probably shouldn't have tutored that Rhystic there in the end and should have gotten a combo piece instead. I just know only answer I had was getting rid of Brad's GA there. I had it in my hand. It was optimal optimal for me to cast my commander because the spell was free, but unfortunately I didn't have any other interaction besides the silence. I could have maybe used the silence and made a win attempt on my turn, but the only thing I could learn from this is just playing my deck more and figuring out those lines. Dax, nothing big here, just cleaning up the play lines and min-maxing your mana. You use City of Traders to pay for your fish, but instead of letting your extra mana go, you could have used it to activate top. I know we've mentioned this to you after as well, but going to your end step then casting the Born is probably more ideal instead of casting it before you get all the cards into your hand. But anyways, good job to you on the win again. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm getting super close to that 1K. If you're already subscribed, just throw me in the background of your guys' games while you and your friends play. I'll bring up my watch hours, maybe share it with a friend that isn't subscribed. That would be super helpful to me. And if you want to be even more helpful, you can be helpful like these guys, my patrons. The Tier 2 content consumers: Big Yoda, Marcus, Dylan, Troy, Rodrigo, and Gwendolyn. Moving on to the top tier cardboard cutouts, we have Juan, Matt, Albert, and Joyner. Thank you everyone for your continued support. If you would also like to support the channel, please head to patreon.com/cardboardcontent. See you guys next round for more content.